Hey everyone, and welcome. You ever get that feeling you're using a hammer for every single problem, even when you need a screwdriver? Well, today we're prying open the Master Craftsperson's Toolbox. We're going to explore 4 special types of classes that will make your code way more structured, super efficient, and a whole lot more secure. Right? I mean, building great software isn't just about banging out code that works. It's about being a real craftsperson, choosing the perfect tool for the job. So are you trying to lay down a flexible foundation? Or maybe grab a handy utility? Or lock down a secure vault? Let's figure out which tool you need to reach for. So here's the game plan. We'll start with the blueprint, that's abstract classes. Then we'll grab our helper, the static classes. We'll lock things down with the vault, sealed classes, and wrap up with the team up, partial classes. Ready? First up, the blueprint. All right, first tool out of the box is the blueprint. Every solid project starts with one. And in the world of code, that's exactly the job of an abstract class. Okay, so just imagine you're building a bunch of different vehicles. You've got a car, a motorcycle, maybe a truck. You know for a fact that they all need a way to start engine and drive, but how they do it is going to be totally different for each one. So how do you make sure that every vehicle class has those methods? How do you guarantee nobody on your team forgets? Well, this is the perfect job for an abstract class. Think of it less like a finished car and more like a contract or a template. You can't just create an abstract vehicle object itself. No. Instead, when you make a car class that inherits from it, that car class is forced to provide its own specific versions of start engine and drive. The whole point here is simple, but it's so powerful. Enforce consistency. So here's the bottom line. A standard class is a complete thing. You can create an object from it right away. An abstract class, it's an unfinished blueprint. It's there to provide a common set of rules that other classes have to follow before they can be considered complete. Okay, next tool out of the bag, the helper. This is like that trusty multi-tool you keep on your belt at all times. In programming, we call this a static class. So think about all those little utility functions you need all the time, like calculating a discount, or converting Fahrenheit to Celsius, or validating an email address. Doesn't it just feel like overkill to have to create a whole new object just to do one of those simple tasks? It feels wasteful, doesn't it? There's gotta be a better way. And of course there is. A static class is basically just a container, a dedicated toolbox for all these standalone functions. You don't create an instance of it. You don't have to build a new one each time. You just call the function you need directly on the class itself. It's clean, it's simple, and it's super efficient. A simple function like calculate discount is the perfect example. But, and this is where it gets really cool, static classes are also used for something called extension methods. Now get this. This lets you add brand new methods to a class that you don't even have the source code for. It's like adding a new feature to a tool that's been sealed shut. It's an absolute game changer, for sure. All right, let's move on to our next tool. This one is all about security and making sure things stay predictable. Let's talk about the vaults, or as we call it, the sealed class. Okay, so what about that one class you wrote that's just so critical, so core to your application, that if someone else came along and changed its behavior, even a little bit, the whole thing could just fall apart? How do you put a big lock on it and basically say, nope, nobody's messing with this? You seal it. A sealed class is way more than just a do not touch sign. It literally builds a digital vault around your code. It makes it impossible for any other class to inherit from it. And that guarantees its behavior stays exactly how you designed it. No surprises, no weird overrides. It is locked, stable, and totally secure. This is a perfect use case. Think about an admin settings class. Just imagine if another developer could inherit from it and secretly change how your application saves or loads those crucial settings. That's a huge security risk. By sealing the class, you slam the vault door shut and make sure those vital functions can never be messed with. All right, for our final tool, let's talk about something that's all about organization and collaboration. This is the team up, and it's brought to us by the partial class. Oh man, we've all been there. You have a class that just grows and grows and grows until it's this 1,000-line monster. You've got user interface logic tangled up with database code, and there's this huge section in the middle that was auto-generated by some tool. How on earth do you clean up that mess, let alone have a few people work on it at the same time without constantly creating conflicts? The solution is actually kind of brilliant in its simplicity. You just split it up. A partial class lets you define a single class across several different files. So you could have one file for all the properties, another file for all the methods, and maybe a third file just for that auto-generated stuff. It's one class in spirit, but it lives in many different files. Let's see how this plays out. So in our first file, let's say one developer is setting up the basic properties for a travel package. Its name and its price. They also declare what's called a partial method. That's basically just leaving a note for the other developers saying, hey, I'm creating an event here called onBooking, but someone else needs to write the actual code for what it does. Then, in a completely separate file, maybe a second developer comes in and adds a destination property, and they see that note and provide the actual implementation for that onBooking method. Just like that, the placeholder is filled in, and these two separate files are working together perfectly as a team. And this is the magic right here. To you and your team, they're just separate, organized files. But when you hit compile, the compiler acts like a master tailor. It goes out, finds all those partial pieces, and seamlessly stitches them together into one single, complete class. As far as your program is concerned, it was always one file. It's just an amazing way to organize massive classes and let teams collaborate. So there you have it. We've just looked at 4 really powerful, specialized tools for your programming toolkit. Let's pull this all together now and make a quick reference guide so you know exactly when to reach for each one. Let's just break it down one last time. If you find yourself needing to enforce a common structure, you grab the abstract class blueprint. If you need simple, reusable functions you can call from anywhere, the static class helper is your go-to. If you need to lock down critical code and prevent changes, you put it in a sealed class vault. And if you're trying to organize a huge, messy class, the partial class lets you and your team work together. 4 common problems, 4 really elegant solutions. And that really is the heart of it all, isn't it? Moving from just being a coder to being a true software craftsperson is all about understanding these different tools you have. It's about making deliberate, thoughtful choices about which one is going to give you the best, the most maintainable, and the most secure solution in the end. So we've just added 4 pretty powerful tools to your programming toolkit. I guess the only question left now is the most exciting one. What are you going to build with them? I can't wait to see. Thanks so much for joining me.